Is well known to Christian tradition, but the details of his life, his deeds, and his personality are now known to God alone. They rest in the divine memory. And of course, it's tempting to fill in the gaps. What we do know is that St. George was some kind of military figure who died in the early 4th century for the faith, probably in one of the persecutions that preceded the Constantinian settlement. And historians have kind of filled in the gaps with some intriguing stories over the years, which are not that plausible. But nonetheless, it seems to me that the gaps in St. George's life play an important role. After all, it is the central fact of St. George's life that he died for the faith, that he was convinced of the truth that is given to us in Christ and knew that the Lord was worth dying for. And with that central fact of his life in place, many others have found in the story of St. George's life parts or reflections of their own story. St. George has an enormous number of patronages. He's patron of countries and regions across the globe, from Aragon in Spain to the countries of the Middle East, to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and to our own country of England. And if there's one thing we can learn from St. George, it might be that the story that we tell about ourselves and about our country is one that ought to be so rooted in Christ as to be the central fact of our common existence, but at the same time capacious enough to welcome for others to find within that story the story of their own lives. And in that we follow Christ, whose story encompasses both death and the triumph of life over death. The story of a man who brought salvation for all in a way that could overcome every hardship and difficulty and break down the walls of division and difference which so often keep us apart. And so by the intercession of St. George, may we find ourselves rooted in the vine of Christ, and yet open to others, capacious, welcoming, inviting of those who seek the truth into friendship with Christ.